From C3 Workplace. Thank you for joining us for our second episode of Web Traffic Controller with Pam Ungst. As you may know, C3 Workplace is a co-working and shared office facility with locations in Montclair and Sparta. So the C3 stands for Connect, Collaborate, Community. And what we do is we help solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, home-based businesses to scale and grow their business. Many different ways we do that through office space and all kinds of back office support, including bookkeeping. And one of the things that is part of my values system is I truly believe, and we as an organization believe, that by connecting small businesses, we can help each other, and we will all improve our businesses and grow our businesses because of that, and ultimately grow both our business community and the local communities that we work in. And one of the ways we build community is through educational events, this Google Hangout being one of those educational events. So I am thrilled to have our host, Pam Ungst, here, who, by the way, has an MBA in marketing and an undergraduate degree in business administration. She truly is a search engine optimization expert, and honestly, I've been in business 20 years. I have seen and talked to so many different consultants in this area, but Pam is a genuine expert and also a self-proclaimed computer geek. So let me turn it over to you, Pam, and you can kind of tell us a little bit about the format, about your services, and then we'll get into our chat.
All right. Well, thank you for having me again, and I'm excited to answer some more questions today. I really like the Q&A format. People seem to have specific things that they're dealing with at the moment that they need help with, and I'm happy to answer those questions and get them unstuck. So as you were saying, I have a strong focus on search engine optimization, so that's one of those services that I provide. But I also help people with their kind of overall digital marketing planning and strategy, because SEO, search engine optimization, is not just about keywords anymore, and not even about just keywords and links. It involves so much more, specifically social media. But in order to get leads out of any of this, you really need to define your online sales funnel and make sure that all these tactics that you're using are feeding leads down that funnel. So they're all playing off of each other and guiding web traffic into online leads. So that's the other thing that I do, is I help people strategize that. So the topics we can talk about today is really anything web traffic related. We got some great questions. We have some questions left over from last time.
Yes, we do.
At least one that I know of.
Right, and you know, you talked about driving leads and driving traffic, and you know, one of the things we wanted to start with is, and you talked about keywords. There's an entire kind of discussion going on about the keywords that are no longer provided in your Google Analytics. So talk to us a little bit about what that means, because obviously all this web traffic that we're trying to drive to our website is ultimately about converting those leads into business. So tell us how this affects us.
Yes, so that's a hot topic over the past couple of weeks. A lot of people heard the news that Google is going to start, and I air quote start for a reason, start encrypting searches, which means that the keywords used to land on a website will not be available to the webmasters in Google Analytics anymore. And the reason I was a little sarcastic about start doing it is they've been doing it for a long time, actually. They started doing that lightly as far back as 2008, but really in October 2011 is when they really started to do it, and that was the original kind of not provided controversy. And when people use that term not provided, it's just referring to that bucket that that traffic falls into, where you used to be able to see what keywords people came in on, and now it's protected, so Google just shows it in Google Analytics under one bucket of not provided keyword. So there was a change, though, and that's what sparked this new news, which is that Google's stepped up the game again. So in October 2011, they started encrypting searches, and they said that they estimated only about single-digit percentages of people's web traffic would be affected by it. People saw way more than that right out the gate, usually around 30%. I saw around 30% right away. And then it just gradually increased over time from October 2011 till just recently. And so that increase brought me and my clients up to about the 60-70% range, which is also a similar stat that I heard from other people. So not provided keywords, keyword traffic was already in the 60 to 70% range, 60 to 70%. This recent change, they did start encrypting even more searches. For example, the little built-in Google search bar that's in the Google Chrome browser, that is now encrypted. As well as anyone, and this was the original change, anyone who's logged into a Google account of any kind, YouTube, Google Calendar, Google Docs, Gmail, those are all encrypted too. So, but by adding the other things like the little search bar in the browser to the encrypted searches, it did increase it even more. So I saw mine go from, I was about 60, 70-ish. It did jump up to 90% between August and September. But that doesn't really change a whole lot. I mean, what's the difference between 70% missing keyword data and 90%? I had already adjusted to using other metrics and combinations of metrics in Google Analytics to measure my success. So I go into what those metrics are in a blog article, the most recent article on my site. If you just go to my blog section, you can see what I've been using instead all along, and we'll just continue to use. So everyone's been asking me, oh, what are you going to do now that you have no keyword data anymore? Well, I didn't have, the majority of it was missing already. So, it's not that big of a change for me and how I analyze traffic.
Okay, so in other words, when I go to my Google Analytics, it used to be that there was a page that talked about sources by keyword. So what you're saying is that now when I go to that page and look at my keyword sources, the vast majority are going to be under the category not provided.
Correct. There will still be some. There, like I said, I'm seeing at least 10% of Google keyword data still coming through. But other search engines are not encrypting their searches at this time. So you will get organic keyword data from Bing and Yahoo. So that's still there. And then also, keyword data is still available in Google Webmaster Tools for encrypted searches. They didn't take that out.
Right.
There's controversy as to how accurate that is. Maybe it's not 100% accurate, but it's still data that you can use. So, and there's plenty of other data in Google Analytics that can be used to make up for the missing keywords and let you know that whether your efforts are working or not. And those are the things that go into in my article.
Right, okay. And that was going to be my question is, do we know if that encrypted data is part of the algorithms or whatnot in the keyword tools, because that seems to be kind of the go-to for picking keywords anyway.
The keyword tool is giving data about when ads are triggered, which ads are triggered when people do regular old Google searches. So that data didn't change and is still usable. And you can still, I mean, if you're running AdWords campaigns, you'll always see exactly what keywords are used on every search. They're not encrypting ad traffic, which is part of the controversy. People think they're doing all this encrypting of non-paid traffic so to get you to pay for traffic so you can see your keywords. But that's not really necessary. You can use those other methods that I described to make up for that. But as far as choosing which keywords you're going to target, the Google AdWords keyword tool, or now called Keyword Planner, is still the best place to go for those decisions.
Okay. And I really do believe that this is another reason why, if driving traffic to your website is a key component of how you're generating new leads and new business, why it's so important to work with someone like Pam. And I am going to toot your horn for you here, Pam, because in my 20 years in business, there's nothing that has changed more rapidly. I often say I think you have to stay more educated than some areas of the medical field. So, it's just constantly changing, and it always will. But also on that kind of same area, one of the questions we didn't get to in our last episode was, and of course it feeds in, and you can tell us how it feeds in, how do we find out what inbound links are pointing to our site? So talk a little bit about inbound links, what they are, what they do, and how we find out which ones are pointing to our site.
Okay, yeah, right. That's a question we didn't get to last time. Real quick before I dive into that, forgot to mention that if you want to tweet along with us and join in our conversation here, that's why I'm kind of looking over here once in a while. I've got the Twitter feed up over here for hashtag WebTrafficShow. So if you have anything you want to say, to chime in or ask us a question, if we don't get to answer it live right now, we would definitely answer it in a future episode. But participate along with us at hashtag #WebTrafficShow on Twitter, and we'll keep an eye on it. So inbound links. All right. So keywords is, like I said, only a part of the picture when it comes to optimizing your site to get found in search engines. Just because you have a keyword match on your site for a term that a user types into Google doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get ranked, because Google, there's millions of matches. So how do the search engines decide which ones to put higher than others if they all match? And that's when they turn to measures of authority, which I call off-page metrics, things that happen off of your website that give a signal to the search engines that you are a reputable, authoritative source on that topic. So inbound links is other websites that link to your website. So it's not you placing a link on your site to someone else's site, it's the reverse. Someone else placed a link on their site to yours. And that's an inbound link, and that's one of the measures of authority that the search engines use to decide which sites are better than others. And it's definitely not about quantity. It's more about quality. Quantity is not irrelevant as far as how many links you have pointing to, but it's much more about quality. One link from CNN to your site will trump 10,000 other links. And relevancy is important too, though. So if you only serve, let's say, one town, you're a service provider that only serves one city, having links that are from sites that are about that city to your site is more valuable than a bunch of links that aren't about that city. So you want high quality, relevant websites linking to your site. And so the question was, how do you find out which ones of those you have already? Because that's one of the best ways to figure out where you're going to go next to try to get more links, is to figure out, well, which good ones do I have now? What kinds of sites are they? So that you can figure out what to try for next. The tool that I use for that is called Open Site Explorer, and it's by Moz, which is formerly called SEO Moz. But the URL to get to it is opensiteexplorer.org. I'm going to do a screen share and pull it up real quick here. So it's opensiteexplorer.org by Moz. You put in your website in the, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. You put in your URL in this box here and click search. I've already pulled up mine. And it will show you, even if you're not a subscriber, for free, it will show you all the links that point to your website. It will limit you to seeing the authority metrics for those links to the first 5 if you're not a subscriber. But you can see all the links, what they are and where they're coming from. So you can use these first few to get an idea of, page authority, domain authority, refer to, how reputable that site and that page of that site is in the search engine's eyes. So seeing, page authority above about, high 40s, 50, and domain authority, as high as possible, up to the 90s if you can get it, or just as high as you can get it. I would say about 30 minimum would be worth it as far as domain authority score. So looking at what you already have that meet that criteria can give you an idea for where to get more. So, 2 of these really good ones that I have here are articles that mentioned me. So other bloggers mentioned something that I said in one of my blog articles, and they linked to me. So, how do I get more of that? Well, I can contribute guest blogs to sites like that. I can write for them because they'll link back to me. Or, just do more mentioning of other bloggers in my blogging because it tends to reciprocate. So, that's like an idea that I get from looking at my list of existing links. And this is where I go to look for them. So,
okay. Pam, let me just ask a question while you're there. On those rankings, you said, look for a 30 as a minimum. What does that scale? Is that scale going up to 100?
Yes, it goes up to 100. And there's no formal, calculation, but I just tend to see that the ones that actually help make the needle move are links that have a domain authority of 30 or more. Just in my experience, that's what I see. But, like I said, relevancy is important too. So if it's
Right.
a domain authority score lower than 30, but it's super relevant to you, that's good.
Right. Okay. So as far as inbound links, to summarize, we're looking for domain authority of 30 or better. The site you showed us is opensiteexplorer.org. And the way it'll only list your first, I guess, your 5 best at the top. And the way that we might improve that is by guest blogging on those sites and or mentioning others in our blog. Obviously, that does create, give them sort of the incentive to reciprocate in that mention. Did I summarize that accurately?
Yes. And just to clarify one thing, those are ideas that I got by looking at these few links right here that I have up on the screen. You'll get other types of ideas too by looking at it. You might find, that an industry association directory that you're in is one of your best links, and maybe that'll give you ideas for other associations that you could get links in their directories and so on. And you can see the domain authority and page authority scores for all of the links if you subscribe or at least sign up for a free trial to Moz. But like I said, even the first few give you an idea, and scrolling through the rest, will give you ideas too.
Okay. Excellent. Well, kind of continuing, another question we had actually before this show in the area of blogs. The question is, how do you get free images to augment a blog that are actually, because obviously you have to be really careful that they're royalty free and truly free. And can you talk to us a little bit about why we want to use images and where to get them from?
Yeah, good question. So, all right, why you want to use images? First of all, humans are visual creatures. They are attracted to pretty visuals, and a lot of people don't like to read a page that's just all text. It's just very overwhelming. So to have at least one image on every blog article that you write or every page on your website is a good idea, if not more than one. You can also get keyword data into your article that way by naming the image with a key phrase that you're going for, and or putting that in the image alt tag when you upload it. But where to get the images is a big deal. People don't realize sometimes that you can't just go on Google Images and grab an image and use it, because somebody could own the rights to that image, and you could end up getting a letter in the mail someday, which is actually way more common than you might think, getting sued for several thousands of dollars or more for using an image that you didn't have the rights to. So picking images, either paying for them, going to stock photo sites and purchasing the appropriate license is one option, or using images that are royalty-free or have a Creative Commons license, which honestly, I can't even tell you, all the legalities about the Creative Commons and what exactly that means. I know there's a couple different levels. Honestly, I don't know the difference between them, but I do know that one of them indicates that it's safe for commercial use. So if you go seek out Creative Commons images that are free for commercial use, or royalty-free images from a free stock image site, and they're telling you it's royalty-free, then you should be in the clear. So how do you find those? One of my favorite sites for free stock images is sxc.hu. It's a weird name. I think it's obviously in some other country. But it's sxc.hu.
So wait, that's S for Sam, X for X-ray, D for David?
No, C. C is in Charlie. sxc.hu. Harry.
Umbrella.
I don't know that formal code.
Okay. All right. Okay. Great.
It will pepper in premium results. Premium meaning stock images you have to buy, but they'll also give you a lot of free images that you can use too. And speaking of my latest blog article, I have a funny picture of a baby with a surprised look on his face, and that's the site I got that image from.
Okay.
Alternatively, you can look at sites like Flickr and Google Images. If you go to their advanced search, so usually somewhere up in the upper right-hand corner or in a small link somewhere it says advanced search, and you narrow it down to only Creative Commons results, and specifically only the ones that are allowed for commercial use.
Okay. And the term that you used is Creative Commons.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a whole there's a lot of information out there on it if you want to know the specifics about it. But what I can tell you is that if you want to be in the clear and not have to worry about getting sued, that going to Creative Commons licensed images and choosing the ones that are licensed for commercial use should be a safe option.
Gotcha. And also bear in mind that a lot of these things that we're talking about are being shared on the Twitter feed, so you can also refer back to them in that regard. And when we first started this chat, Pam, you talked about the different layers of the way social media and SEO kind of one layers on top of the other. And I think images are a great example of that because you're using your keywords in the name of it and or the alternate text. From a readership perspective, I think we all know people are reading things and deciding whether they're going to continue reading in a nanosecond. So from my overall marketing perspective, I think the use of images and the image that you pick is really important. You have to be able to stand out from the incredible amount of information that is each of us are being bombarded with. So it's that layering factor, and it's also some basic common sense of creating ways to stand out from the crowd.
Absolutely, and images evoke emotion. So that's an important part of converting a website visitor into a lead is to tap into their psychology and evoke emotion in them, and as you would say, speak to their pain.
Absolutely, and I was on. I facilitate a sales training call, and we had that call this morning, and I was sharing with the people on the call that not obviously, but people buy emotionally. You can analyze as much data as you want, and that's going to be taken into consideration. But at the end of the day, it's typically an emotional purchase. So you're right. That's a really great point. That those photos need to tap into their emotions, and the best emotion you can tap into when you're trying to promote something is somebody's pain. What's the pain that you can solve? So, okay, fantastic. Similarly, and I, as you know, Pam, am a proponent of email marketing. It's something I've done for a long time. It's something that has worked very well for me. Of course, it's one of the things that I do. We all have to be doing many different things. And this has been a challenge for all of us. Talk to us a little bit about, and this was a question again that came before, how do we build an email list? How do we choose an ESP, and how to send out blog articles by email, which very often is the email?
Yeah, all great questions.
And that's a very loaded question. Yeah. So if you can kind of, we've got a few minutes left. If you could take us through that aspect.
Okay, so we'll start with building an email list. That's obviously, a more in-depth topic, but some of the top tips for doing so is to really focus on what's in it for them. What can you give them that's going to make them want to sign up for your email list? And that can often be, and maybe should be, a piece of content that they can download from your website, or some kind of email course that they can sign up for. So let's say people are coming into your site via blog articles that you're writing, and at the end of the blog article they're like, oh, okay, that was great, but what now? Often, if they just discovered you for the very first time and read your blog article, they're not necessarily ready to become your customer yet, or even contact you for the free consultation you're offering. They may not quite be sold even on taking the effort involved in that yet. But what could you give them that would sell them on forking over their email address? It's worth it enough for them that they'll fork over that email address. So it's got to be more content, more in-depth content than you would put in a blog article, but something that they'll want badly enough to fork over their email address, even if they're not ready to straight up contact you yet. That's how you can get them on your email list, and then you can keep, sending out other things. Again, keeping in mind what's in it for them, things that they really would want, be genuinely useful information to them. In your case, Donna, it's the events. You've found great success with the educational and networking events that C3 provides. So I know that's what you send out in your e-newsletter because that's what people want from you. In my case, it's webinars and seminars. So similarly, events, but either virtual or in person. So I found that really my online sales funnel is I pull people in on blog articles via SEO or social media. If they don't already know me. And then I try to get them to join my email list, either by my regular old email sign-up form, or by offering them a download like an ebook or my Facebook marketing plan template. And at that point, I even give them the option to opt out. The box is checked by default. Do you want to sign up for my email list? And they can uncheck it, but about 50% of the people don't. And they want more stuff like that from me. So then when I start emailing them about my webinars and seminars, a certain percentage will become a webinar or seminar attendee. And at that point, I actually have a chance of converting them into a customer. Before they get to that point, I really don't have a chance. So I branched off a little bit into the overall online sales funnel there, but the email marketing can be a crucial component of that. And the way to get people to fork over that email address is to give them something that's worth it for them.
Absolutely.
So as far as picking an email service provider, ESP, referring to like Constant Contact or MailChimp or Campaign Monitor, that depends upon the complexity of what you're doing, really. I mean, if you're just starting out, you've never sent an email marketing campaign out before, you might want to just toy around with something free like MailChimp. And then if you find that you're starting to want to do more complex things, for example, automatically sending out your latest blog articles, then you can use a system like Campaign Monitor that will make it easy for you to put your RSS feed address in there and automate the process of every time you publish a new blog article, it just automatically goes out to your list. So it really depends on your needs. Your list size can make a difference too. MailChimp is free up to a certain list size, and then after that, different ESPs charge different ways. Some charge on list size, some charge on how many messages you send out. Overall, I wouldn't recommend Constant Contact in any case, unfortunately. I think they've gotten to the point where they're really just nickel and diming people. You can't, upload more than 5 images without paying more, and it's really not user-friendly anymore. I mean, I have trouble with it. I've been using it for years, and every time I log in, they seem to have made something more difficult than the last time I used it. So I have to use it for clients sometimes, but I stay away from it myself. So just my opinion, though, and overall, it really is just about matching your needs, your complexity and activity to what they offer.
Okay, great. And one of the things, I also think is when we're doing blog marketing or e-letters, we always have to, when you think about what's in it for them, we always think about, who is our target market, what is important to them. It's pretty hard to send out an e-letter if you don't have a pretty specific target market and create a message that's meaningful to the entire audience. So be mindful of your target audience when you're putting together that blog and that e-letter. And the other thing is, I know what we do, and I'm sure, I know, Pam, you do this as well, but when I write a blog, of course, it resides on my website, and yes, I can create an e-letter out of that, but the reality is the e-letter is still driving traffic back to my website. So again, it's that layering effect of everything working with each other to create the overall effect of driving more leads, and ultimately, it's all about growing your business and creating more sales, and this is, one of the topics we talk about. My goodness, Pam, that flew by.
That goes so fast.
I know, it really does. Well, the feed on Twitter has been very active. There's many of the points that we've discussed are captured there. Pam, is there anything else you want to share with our audience?
Well, I definitely want to give a quick shout out to Roxanne Rourke of R3 Social Media, who's tweeting for us there on the feed.
Yay, Roxanne!
Thank you, Roxanne, much appreciated, because I definitely can't sit here and type all my answers at the same time as I say them, so that is much appreciated. And then also, I just want to throw it out there that, I'm always willing to sit with someone for an hour virtually or in person and, to do kind of a sample coaching session of, what it would be like to work with me if I was, working with you in a coaching arrangement, and or just to evaluate, what services, might be needed and most impactful for you. So if you are interested in that, you know where to find me. Just let me know.
Super. Thank you, Pam. As always, your insight is fantastic, and you've done a great job in helping my organization move forward in our online marketing and driving leads online.
And questions for next time can be submitted to show@webtrafficcontroller.com.
Excellent. So we are doing this the third Thursday of each month at noon. If you'd like to join us live, and the recordings of the episodes will reside on the C3 Workplace YouTube channel, which is YouTube.com/C3 Workplace. I'm sure they're on Pam's YouTube channel as well, and her website. And I wanted to just share, in the spirit of community, many of you know that we opened a second location in Sparta. We renovated the Montclair location, and so our promotion at the moment is, if you'd like to sign up for a co-working package, if you sign up, you get 2 months for the price of 1, and it works really well for people who are home-based or telecommuting, to get out of your house, get out of your own head, and connect with other people. It's so much more professional than meeting in a coffee shop. And just this week I've been up here in Sparta working, and I've heard at least 3 people say, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe how much work I get done here." So if that's something you'd like to check out, let us know. You can see our full range of services on our website, which is c3workplace.com. So again, we thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again next month. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Have a great day.